Today I'm going to be making a spray bar for an FX5. The reason for a spray bar is to reduce all the water current that the Fluval, it's so strong it puts out so much pressure that if you have a frontosis or similar fish to that don't like breeding in high current water, this would be an option for you. This will be the first of a series of a bunch of how-to videos that have nothing to do with absolutely anything, and it will be the last video I'm doing on this. So don't click like or comment on this because you probably won't like anything I'm doing in the future. But let's get started here. What I have here is 3/4 inch PVC, and I got the fittings for the corners. And what I'm going to do is this part here is going to be the back of the tank going up, and it's going to go over and come down. The reason I have 2 spray bars on here is if you were going to take 10 pounds of pressure and divide it up with just along one spray bar and spray in one direction, and each hole did 2 pounds, you're going to still have the same 10 pounds of pressure causing that whirlpool effect. So I'm hoping to do 4 rows of holes along the bottom, 3 rows around the top, facing frontwards, backwards, and straight down. This will be all the way around the one going down to the bottom of the tank. These here are the end caps that are going on it, and I have this one here to show you guys how easy it is to sand and bevel the PVC down. The reason you would want to do that is you can use the FX5 hose that you have and fit it on there because it's rubber and it'll stretch. If you round the bottom of your piece here, you can slide the hose on there. I'm also going to use a hose clamp just to make sure it doesn't pop off because you're going to have the weight of the hose pulling on here. Now here's another option. These 2 corners, you can push them together and get a little bit of a tighter fit. I mean, it's a lot easier than cutting the other 2. You know, I cut that middle piece. Those 2 corner pieces are going to slide on there and you won't see the middle piece at all. This was just a little bit of a tighter fit and it wouldn't have fit on my frame. If I was a circus clown and I had more hands, I would squeeze these together for you while I was holding the camera to show you how those fit, but I think you could pick that up here. So I will jump ahead forward for you to see the next video. Alright, on this step I have the spray bar dry fit together, and the reason I'm going to do that is I'm going to put this into the tank and I'm just going to be double sure that I'm happy with all the measurements before I cement this thing together. Now here's the cement right here. Then after that I'm going to do the rows of holes on this bar, forward, down, and back. I'm not going to do up because I don't really think I want the up current in case anything starts hitting the lid. And I'm going to do forward, back, and on each sides on this lower spray bar. So you might have a bunch of questions here like, why don't you do this? Why don't you do it that way? How this, how that? Well, there are no questions like this. I don't know how to answer your questions. I'm not an alien with a supercomputer that can read people's minds, and I don't use a Ouija board. But as you can see, the hose will be coming onto this piece down here, and I will be using the hose clamp like I said. I'm going to use a belt sander to round that off. It rounds it pretty quickly because this is soft plastic. Get out of here, cat. I'm working on a spray bar. Okay, so I will be back with the next step. Okay, so I had put this in the tank. It's all dry fit together, and I checked my measurements and everything seems to be okay. So the next step, I took a piece of tape. Actually, I stuck 2 pieces on top of each other just to make them a little bit thicker, and I drew a line across the center of the tape, and then I used this large ruler to mark each inch on the table. Then I removed it from the table and I stuck it to the PVC pipe. The purpose for this is it's kind of like a template. I can move the same piece of tape around the pipe and it's thick enough for me to keep moving it without ripping it. I folded it over so it'll be easy to lift on the ends. And when I'm finished with this, I'm going to sand it and paint it black so it won't be so obnoxiously white. And I'm thinking heater suction cups. The heater might clip onto this 3/4. I'm sure with all the different heaters most of us have laying around, we'll have brackets of some kind or something to make this work. So that's my plans on this as I get more towards the finishing steps. Okay, so I cemented the top part of the loop together, this top part here, and I cemented the bottom part where the hose attaches to down here because I want to make sure that this is held really well because all the weight of the hose is going to be on here. Also, you might be able to tell here, I hope you can pick it up, this is all beveled down to get the hose to slip over there. Did that with a belt sander. 100 grit sandpaper cuts through this really nice. So I just laid the belt sander on its back and set the trigger so it stayed on, and kind of spun this around on the belt sander. Have all my holes drilled now as well. If the spray seems like it's spraying from these holes a bit strong, you can always make the holes bigger to reduce that back pressure. And that's kind of my plan, so I won't know till this thing is actually hooked up. This has been sanded. I also sanded this with 100 grit sandpaper. Basically what you want to do when you're sanding is you want to remove all the shine off of the PVC. If it's shiny, a lot of times paint won't stick. It needs something to grab to. But plastic bonds pretty well with paint. I'm going to use a black Krylon with this, and it should hold pretty well. I'm going to let it cure for a couple days at least before I put it in there. Probably this is going to sit for a week. I'm going to wait till I do my next water change. I do weekly water changes at 50%. Now, that should be about it with that part. So it just needs to be painted now. The hose stuck on there, and I have a hose clamp put on here. Now, as we all know, we should probably be getting rid of our TV sets and just be watching fish. We could move all of our couches in front of our fish aquariums, because everything on TV is fake. The reality TV shows are all staged, and the news is nothing but a bunch of lies. So here it is, all finished, ready for the next step. Just to put the hose clamp on and set it up in the aquarium and see how it's running. Okay, here we are about 2 weeks later, and the spray bar's been running, and look at the current is way down. The plants aren't blowing around. You really don't see a current at all. My plants are growing on the trees, and the fish love this thing. They're all swimming around smirking at me constantly. I've never seen fish this happy in my life. It's almost like they're watching a comedy show 24 hours a day. But you can see the spray bar up across the top, and it seems to be working fine. I think it worked well drilling the holes on the top and the side piece. You can see it comes down behind this tree here. And you get a better view of it behind the tree on this side, and this is what it looks like behind the tank. Comes out of the back, and it comes down, and you got the hose clamp there. Now, the way I was able to get this hose clamp to work is the FX5 comes with rubber fittings on each side of the hose and in the very center of the hose. So I cut my hose right in the middle, so I was able to get the rubber fittings on each end of my hose on both hoses. So that worked out well. But the front hoses seem to be very happy in here, except for now that I'm filming them. They seem to be a little bit camera shy or something. But anyway, thanks for watching the video. And I hope if you do this project, it works out well for you. I'm out.